I feel like I'm not really getting anywhere, so I hope. Similarly, on another level, we are seeing advances on other tools that we have. So it's not just the internet as the fundament that is being attacked, but it's also applications on that internet, whatever it is. So they can come in the shape of financial low-costs at MasterCard or PayPal, or those centralizing the provisioning of information like Amazon and other providers that deny services due to political pressure or personal disliking. Our tools have become an object of politics, and they need future users to defend them. And for that, we need their future users to understand why they are so important. If the incident with Amazon discontinuing its cloud-based hosting services to WikiLeaks has proven one important thing, then it is that a cloud is completely useless if you can dissolve it with one shot from a weather cannon. And if that's what cloud computing is about, if that's what centralizing information in one place just because it scales so well or whatever, if that's what it's about, then we need to get rid of these concepts as soon as possible because they don't lead anywhere good for us. So the same goes for financial services. If political pressure or preference can mean that the denial of services to the free society, then we have a serious problem, and we should probably get rid of these concepts also and move on to alternatives. I mean, Peter is unfortunately not here this year, but in case anyone hasn't heard of Flatter yet, that's an alternative, I guess. Or you can just go completely anonymous and buy PaySafe cards or Ucash or use whatever other method to transfer funds on the internet. You don't need to rely on any of these services that do not behave in a way that we can tolerate it as a free society. All that requires is a choice, and that choice again needs to be spawned from people that are well informed, that look at things critically, that ask questions, and that do not just follow what someone is telling them is the right thing to do. So for the sake of the future, we need to defend from all of these attacks. If we do not do that, this means that we are at the end of a beginning, and that's the beginning of an end, and I think that's not where we want to head. The beginning of that end, as I had, or the beginning of that defense that we need to see, and that's basically what I'm trying to aim at overall, is that we all have to start understanding problems. A few months ago, I realized that despite all the motivation that I had put into the WikiLeaks project, and despite all the belief I had that this was the ultimate thing I could involve in, at some point in time, we identified that there are problems, and there are problems that if you do not resolve them, they start corrupting the ideals of your organization and the principles by which you started out at some point in time. So there are always multiple answers to questions, and it's impossible to predict what is the right answer. But that process of critically thinking about things, of starting to doubt, and using that doubt, that critical thinking to get more of a perspective. That is what led me and other individuals to leave that organization, just because we thought there was no more common ground to work on. I guess most of you that are working in open source projects should be pretty familiar with that process. It's called a fork, and that's what happens if people that work on a common goal do not share the same idea of how to get to that goal at some point in time. And then your ways divert, and the only thing that can happen is that there's more diversity in, I don't know if you want to call that a market, but that there's more diversity in one area, and that diversity will only lead to strengthen it. Same as we have seen with the defense of our freedoms on the internet. We need diversity, we need decentralism, and we need individuals and individual organizations to collaborate on certain matters that are in our interest. So, I can't really tell, I mean, the time is running out way more slow than, is is that clock actually accurate, or I'm at the end of what I had written down in an effort to try to talk about some of these matters here this year, and I think there are still a lot of open questions. I've desperately tried to avoid getting too concrete about the new project that we are working on, just because we need some more time. We need some more time to put up a website that will explain to all of you what it is that we are working on. And I thought that putting some of the more general problems that we have in a society in context are a bit more important. I'm not sure if that clock is really accurate. If it is, we still have 53 minutes left for questions. I guess that's a bit of a self-defeat. If you have any questions, if you want to discuss that with me, I'm more than happy to elaborate a bit more on what I was trying to aim at and what I feel was more confusing talk than anything else. But in any way, thanks for the attention so far. And
thank you. So, questions? Audio?
Could you please elaborate a bit about the current situation in Iceland and what is your roadmap? What do you intend to do to build at least one country with kind of a decent Netzpolitik?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so did everyone get the question? Or, okay, so well, as I said before, I'm not actively involved anymore in the IMMI initiative, just because I'm caught up in a lot of other work. So that's partly also, I guess, why I didn't even finish to write up a decent speech, just because I'm kept up with a lot of stuff, even here on this conference, that used to be sort of my living room in between the New Year's, which sort of has become so packed with press and everyone caught in the buzz that it's just hard to focus on things. So there are other people working on IMMI, capable people. I mentioned a couple of names before. And the current strategy is to work with all the ministries, the parties that are involved in implementing the different angles of that proposal into Icelandic law. So as I said, there's one, the whole source protection angle, which will hopefully become reality pretty soon, especially because it could be attached to a existing reform in the media law section. So that made it a bit easier. On the other hand, there are other well, initiatives that are going on. So I can't really tell you about the timeline there, but on immi.is you can find out more info. So I'm really sorry that I can't give you any more current detail. So I've tried to cover that as good as I could, but that's about all I know myself for now.
Question?
Yes.
I think there is a certain barrier from the I think there's a certain barrier from diversity, profiting from diversity, which is called language, and that seems to play a role in IMMI especially. So at least I made the experience that you don't get too much information in English or German about IMMI. And is there any project you know about to transfer or to translate these projects and what has been done in Iceland to English or German? And with the aim, perhaps not only to let Italy lead and protect media owners in Italy, which might be some interest there, but to have a media initiative like in Iceland as well here in Germany.
Okay, so that's actually a very important question, because it brings me to one important point that I didn't make, which is that, you see, IMMI, as a lot of other alternatives, initiatives that are being run today, doesn't have any funding, and it doesn't have anyone that can take care of it exclusively. And in that respect, it is a project of lots of individuals that are acting up, that have a shared interest in pursuing that ideal. But part of what you've been saying, and that's the language barrier, just cannot be addressed because there's plainly not enough resources to take care of all that stuff. And in the same way, there would be a tremendous need for more lawyers involving. I don't know, maybe I can get Tiffany in touch there. She's actually, that's something I should mention too. There's going to be a talk about data havens here tomorrow. So you should probably go see that talk because it will also cover IMMI a bit, I think. And it will deal with all sorts of other engagements that we have worldwide where angles like that should be considered. And so, but in any way, that is what we need more. There need to be more lawyers, more people that can contribute to that whole idea, to translate it into other languages, to bring it to other parts of the world. And so if I can ask anyone here that has an interest to promote IMMI or to help out there, the people are certainly nice to work with, and whoever has some time on his hands is certainly welcome too.
Okay, this may be not directly related, but the medial narrative of well, technical organizations like WikiLeaks or Wikipedia or OpenBSD is often dominated by single persons that play the hero or villain role, and this, I think, makes them, well, in one sense more powerful, but also more vulnerable. Do you think this is a good thing, and do you think there is a way to overcome this to be more effective in the political process?
Okay, well, that goes pretty much to the heart of the problem, I guess. So I think generally what the future needs, and that's what I try to get at too, and I think I didn't even bring it across. What the future needs is not one leader, but more like a world that is made out of leaders, where everyone is in a position that he's educated well enough, that he's walking upright enough, all these things, so he could be a leader. So I think that has to be decentralized too. That's a problem that we see.
It's more about the narrative, like not, I mean,
well, that's, yeah, I mean,
Wikipedia is a big community and still people always talk about Jimbo whales.
Yes, well, no, they're not, actually. They talk about Jimbo whales. No, they talk about him when there's this picture and it's asking for donations. That was working on multiple levels, I think. But that's what, you see, that's what, it's good, you need faces, you know. You need people that you can talk to. That's why people want to talk to me at this conference, and that's good, because that's how intercourse and exchange works, you know, like people talking to each other and exchanging their views, and it's very important to have that. That's what the press wants, and that's where I agree with the narrative. They always want to promote one person that is a leader. They always want to have someone that has maximum credibility or a maximum position in some way. They want to talk to someone they can call the founder or the speaker or I don't know what. So that is a problem with a narrative, and the only way to change that is by the society getting disinterested in this approach. So I think it can only be worked around or changed if we all realize that narrative is not leading anywhere. And that basically this is probably what has killed all revolutions we had in the past, where something tremendously large could have changed in society and how we see things, but it did not change just because we kept going back to the same principles of outsourcing responsibility to one person or one organization or whatever in that respect.
So you think we should all be responsible for ourselves?
Sorry?
So you want to say that we should all say that we are responsible for ourselves, and that should be the narrative.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's what, I mean, this is what all it is about. All of you here, and I said that last year and the year before too. There's a tremendous potential that is just in this room, just by the skills of people here, and you're all individually responsible for using that skill responsibly and in a way that it is good for society and not just for